By now, sadly, you've all learned of the unspeakably tragic news of our beloved Whitney's passing.
I'd like to thank Sissy and Dion for the honor of being here, and for everybody in the church treating my wife and I so gracefully.
Well, there had been a documentary and there had been a television movie. Both were wanting. Both did not capture her soul, her dignity. They didn't capture everything everybody wants to know about her.
If a motherfucker call you a crackhead for 20 years, bitch, you are smoking crack. Whitney done smoked her kneecaps off, and we still talk about,
Whitney Houston was the voice of a generation, and millions were left heartbroken when they found out about her untimely death at just 48. But as people try to remember her for her soulful singing, there are others who are determined to expose what big-shot record executives did to her and why they were the reason behind her downfall. You've already seen Jaguar Wright go off about Clive Davis. Now it looks like Katt Williams might have things to say as well. It's been a few months, but people are still talking about comedian Katt Williams' legendary interview on Club Shay Shay. It came smack dab in the middle of the Diddy scandal, and he wasn't afraid to lay it into the disgraced hip-hop mode. He even said his now viral line, talking about how you have to learn to say no to Diddy when he asks you to party with him. He even alleged that he was offered $50 million to party before the feds raided Diddy's homes, proving he's someone who's ready to speak his mind no matter what. But what does this have to do with Whitney Houston? Let's start with her story. Everyone knows she struggled with drugs for a large part of her career, with one of the most destructive interviews ever being her sit-down with Diane Sawyer. It started with her talking about her childhood and how she had always wanted to be a singer.
You know what I used to do, Diane? I would close my eyes like this and I'd sing. I was so afraid, and I'd sing. And when I would open my eyes, the people would be what we call Holy Ghost fired out. They would be in such spirit of praise. I think I knew then that it was an infectious thing that God had given me.
This wasn't something new, because Whitney came from a family of singers and was the daughter of Misstee Houston, also a soul and gospel singer.
There's never been a time when music wasn't in my home. I started singing gospel music at a very young age. That's all I recall, feeling in my soul that I wanted to sing. So I think about 8, I decided, yeah, this is what I really want to do.
Coming back to the interview, she talked about how growing up trying to improve her craft meant she became a bit of a rebel in her 20s.
I didn't even date in my 20s. It was rough. It was rough. I think I kind of reverted back as I got older and said, well, I'm just gonna party, you know? It was kind of a rebel in me.
Then came the devastating part. Whitney seemed nervous and uncomfortable when it came to talking about her drug addiction and denied ever taking drugs. Then came the viral line, "Crack is whack."
Whitney dying, crack rehab fails.
First of all, let's get one thing straight. Crack is cheap. I make too much money to ever smoke crack. Let's get that straight, okay? We don't do crack. We don't do that. Crack is whack.
She also said that the biggest problem was herself, because she couldn't help herself when it came to drugs.
Is it alcohol? Is it marijuana? Is it cocaine? Is it pills?
It has been. At times.
All?
At times.
If you had to name the devil for you, the biggest devil among them?
That would be me.
The interview was made into a sensation for a long time after it was released. People on the internet can be wildly unforgiving of someone else's struggles, and this was clear by the way they made a spectacle out of her issues. Then came her comeback, when it looked like everything would be fine and the world would get their voice back again. And this is where Oprah Winfrey comes in, because at a time when the Oprah Winfrey Show was an integral part of pop culture and ran the gossip in the industry, Whitney was on her show. And this was after she spent 7 years away from the public eye.
After a controversial interview with Diane Sawyer in 2002, referred by many as the crack is whack interview, she virtually disappeared. For 7 years, Whitney has kept silent about it all. Now she's back with a powerful new album, I Look to You. I met up with Whitney at New York City's Town Hall Theater, a place close to her heart. And today, she's opening up like never before.
The interview was dubbed the most anticipated music interview of the decade by Oprah herself. Whitney chose to have it at the Town Hall Theatre because it had a deep meaning for her. It was where her journey had started.
My mother, I was 13. My mom had put a show together, which included my brother and myself in her act, and we sang background for her. And my mother had recorded the version to Annie, the Broadway show.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, so tomorrow. And I had the spotlight where I come out, when I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely. And my mother was performing here at Town Hall, and I will never forget, I was at this side of the stage. I walked out to the front, and I began to sing, and the whole audience rushed to the stage. It was that moment that my mother said, God has smiled on you, and this is what you're supposed to do. And it was on this stage here that it all happened for me, that I just remember that feeling of being, wow, okay. And my mom said, see, I told you. She said, you're gonna be doing big things.
The entire interview was meaningful because it signified her willingness to not give up. Oprah was even the first person to dub her the voice.
I thought, you are the voice. You are the definitive, you are the voice. That was my name for you.
You called me, you were the first person that really called me that.
You are the voice.
But even though Oprah drilled her about her worst moments, Whitney was much calmer and seemed to have accepted everything that had happened. Oprah even brought up how her fans felt disgusted by how she had treated herself.
So tell me why you thought you'd pretty much done it, because there's a wonderful quote by the LA Times. They said, the pain and frankly disgust that so many pop fans felt during Houston's decline was caused not so much by her personal distress as by her seemingly careless treatment of the national treasure that happened to reside within her.
Wow.
The national treasure.
Heavy.
Heavy. I understand what they're saying. You were not like any of the others. You really were given the voice.
Wow.
You were given that treasure, and that people felt, how could you not know that was to be treasured?
In return, the singer was able to calmly talk about how overwhelming and unfair her life had seemed once she became famous.
I knew in the days when I was a teenager singing for God, I was so sure of. When I became Whitney Houston and all this other stuff happened, my life became the world's. My privacy, my business, who I was with, who I married, who I, and I was like, that's not fair.
Get that.
I wanted to go to the park. I wanted to walk down the street with my husband hand in hand.
She talked about how her husband, Bobby Brown, had become jealous of her success, which led to the downfall of their marriage.
We fought hard, we loved hard. And I think at some point in time, other things began to take place.
Was he jealous of you?
He's not gonna like this, but yes.
And then did you try to overcompensate?
I tried to play down all the time.
Yeah.
I would fight you back with anything I could find. You know what I'm saying? And I had two brothers. I had family members who were like, brother, don't do it because they won't be able to find you. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So he never touched you?
No.
Never laid a hand on you?
He slapped me once.
Yeah.
But he got hit over the head 3 times.
Yeah. By you?
By me, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, okay, you're going too far.
So that was the barrier that you held. That
Right.
Once you touched me.
But emotionally?
Yeah, emotionally.
As he spoke, his words, horrifying. So when we got back to the house, he's gonna hate that I said, but he spit on me. He spit on me. He actually spit on me. And my daughter was coming down the stairs and she saw it. And that was pretty intense. Because I didn't grow up with that. And I didn't understand why that occurred. But he had such a hate in his eyes for me. Because I loved him so much.
She even talked about doing drugs, but she did it all calmly.
Level off.
The cocaine, yeah.
Only you had to have alcohol too, which is what I didn't do. I didn't drink. He drank.
And you would do, what, volumes of that?
Oh my God. I can't begin. Somebody out there has made a lot of money, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so during that time, obviously, when you're in the middle of taking the drug, you're not thinking about The Voice. You're just thinking about...
I had totally forgotten about that life. That was like...
That was another life.
Yeah, I had so much money by that point in time. It was like... But I've been thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about any of that. Remember now, we were flying all over the country in jets.
Right.
Going to Paris for a day or two, renting yachts, going cruising the Mediterranean.
And after the grueling interview, she gave a beautiful rendition of I Didn't Know My Own Strength, moving Oprah to tears. So what's the problem? Well, Oprah is known for her problematic friendships. She was a close friend of Harvey Weinstein before his scandal broke out.
Back to the Golden Globes for a second. Oprah is now being criticized for her speech that night by a very unlikely star.
Me too.
3 days after Oprah publicly supported victims of sexual assault in the wake of numerous allegations against Harvey Weinstein, singer Seal Instagrammed this meme. Showing Winfrey kissing the disgraced mogul, it reads, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution."
Please welcome Seal!
The 54-year-old who's appeared on Oprah's show captioned his post, "Oh, I forgot, that's right, you'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially assaulting young starry-eyed actresses. My bad."
So Rose McGowan has put Oprah on blast. Rose recently called out Oprah on Twitter over her past associations with some controversial men. Rose wrote, quote, "From being pals with Harvey Weinstein to abandoning and destroying Russell Simmons' victims, she is about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. She is as fake as they come."
There have been a number of other scandals, including her association with John of God.
I actually read one story about John of God where he had this woman come to his healing center once, and then the second time she came, they had a private consultation where he ended up R-wording her. This man would use his spiritual healing power to take advantage of vulnerable people and be selfish with them and do whatever he wanted to do with them. And of course, Oprah having a whole show about him really gave him a lot of success and a lot of new clients. This all took place in 2010 during one of Oprah's segments, Do You Believe in Miracles?, where she went and interviewed him, and this did boost his profile and he got a lot of new fame, but at the same time, we learned that he was an absolute creep.
Someone like that being near Whitney Houston couldn't have been a good influence on her, no matter how much she seemed to support her. And though a lot of people in the industry get suppressed by those in power, Katt Williams has proved he's not one of them. So people are wondering whether it's her turn to get taken down. After all, Jaguar Wright has already talked about Whitney's mentor Clive Davis and how he intends to exploit her even years after her death.
Yeah, so now I probably won't be watching the movie just because I know whose money the proceeds are going to, and fuck him. Fuck you royally, and fuck you for inventing Diddy. Fuck you for that.
In another interview, she called Clive Davis the devil incarnate.
Who's the worst celebrity like that you've been around and is like the most full of sin? I know no sin is greater, but like just was like, damn, this
Clive Davis. Devil incarnate. Queen and slut of the Luciferian breed.
Well, like why? I mean, what explain it. Like why?
Because he's a f***ing piece of queen.
She claimed that he killed Whitney Houston, among other things.
He Janis Joplin. He blackmailed Betty Wright so she wouldn't tell anybody that he Janis Joplin. He killed Whitney Houston.
So, is Oprah next in line to get exposed by Katt Williams? And how much did she have to do with Whitney Houston's downfall? We can only wait and see. That's it for now. Don't forget to tell us what you think in the comments below. For more updates, hit the bell icon.